So in the spaces, of course, you will find in very many boardrooms there, the ratio of men to women is usually the other way around. The men are more than the women at the boardroom. When you understand the business, how the business runs, now you can bring the agenda of OSH in. Whether you're beaten or not beaten, keep going. I keep saying, keep soaring, because the sky is the starting point.
Hi guys, welcome back to the EHS Unplugged podcast. I'm your host, Vivian Boaz. For this episode, we're looking at the role of OSH in the banking and financial institutions. And joining us today is Mary Mwangi, a seasoned OSH professional who's been practicing for over 15 years. Karibu sana, Mary.
Thank you, Vivian. And I'm glad to be in this platform. My name is Mary Mwangi. As you've said, I've been in OSH industry for the last 15 years, currently as the head of health, safety and environment and internal sustainability for Equity Group. And previously, I've worked in the construction industry for the large infrastructure projects and housing projects, including in the irrigation projects. So I'm glad to be here to discuss on this topic.
Yeah, thank you very much for agreeing. Accepting this invite and being here on such a short notice.
My pleasure.
Yes. So I know Mary she's a role model. You are a role model to so many women in the country, not just in the OSH profession, but I think countrywide. And because your work transcends, our borders, I know you're a role model to so many women. So one of the questions I want to ask is, why did you choose OSH?
So I think number one, if I wanted to be in OSH, I would not be in OSH. I wanted to be a medical doctor. Then I found myself, during the choice of universities, I found myself being picked for environmental science. So that's how I joined environment. And then as I was working towards end of fourth year, I was introduced by someone to Occupational Safety and Health. And now when they were discussing it, it looked very interesting. So I said, why not go and do a postgraduate in Occupational Safety and Health? So from the postgraduate in Occupational Health and Safety, that is where I developed a lot of interest in OSH. And that is how I found myself in OSH. And now with time, I've gone enjoying it. I find it very fulfilling. Why? Because you're making a difference in people's lives. And I keep enjoying that because now you deal with the equipment, but above all, you know the difference you are making it with people.
Yeah.
Yes.
And I think that is what most people miss in their jobs, that whole aspect of being able to actually see this is what I've done at the end of the day, right? So I don't know, has it been worth it?
Yes, it has been. It has been worth it. I've seen people being transformed at workplace where you join an industry, especially like banking. When I joined banking, it was like an introduction of OSH to banking. So literally it's where people are asking you, what is this OSH? Can you explain to us like 1-year-olds what OSH is? And I keep saying, if you cannot explain to a 5-year-old, then you cannot even explain it to grown-ups. And of course, we started from there and you see people taking it positively, especially when you talk about ergonomics. Your backing is being hurt by the way you are sitting, by the way you are standing, by not walking. Why don't you work for 1 hour, then you walk around for a few minutes? And people are embracing it. So I'm seeing a lot of changes in the industry here as I'm working. Yes.
You've mentioned ergonomics, and this is just a side note. I don't know if you find our chairs ergonomically designed.
Not really. Yeah, but we are not sitting for quite a long time. It's just for a short time and then we leave. But when you're working with people who are sitting for long hours, 8 hours, of course in banking, you find people in banking sitting even for 12 hours at work. So of course you have to provide the right seats so that you have a safe and a healthy workforce within yourselves, because it involves a lot of work, a lot of dealing with the people, that is customers and other people around you. So they have to be as comfortable as possible and as safe as possible. Otherwise, if you give them the seats that we are sitting on, trust me, we are going to have an unhealthy workforce. Yes.
I like that you've roped in the banking employees, that aspect, because I wanted to know if you went into the banking, ocean banking, by chance, or was this the direction you wanted to take from the beginning?
It is not the direction that I wanted to take from the beginning. Apparently, how I joined banking, I was in construction and I would enjoy construction so much. So I'm on LinkedIn and I see this job advertised on LinkedIn. Then I asked myself, what would OSH be in the banking industry? And of course, I'm used to heavy lifting because construction industry is a lot of heavy lifting. Yep. So I asked myself that question. Then apparently that day I'd been called by my former lecturer to go and meet with him at one of the hotels in Nairobi. So when I sat down with him, I told him, I've seen this advert and I'm asking myself, what is OSH in banking? Then he told myself, get serious. Ergonomics is such a big thing in the banking industry. Remember also, banking industry, people sit for long hours. They serve people for long hours. Mental health is a big problem because a customer will come to the bank and decide to abuse you. I mean, that is your workplace. Then he told me, but there's also the aspect of statutory compliance, which is very big across the bank. Now, that brought a different side of it. And I told myself, no, I would want to know more about OSH in banking. So I decided to read about the world view. What is banking and how do I understand banking? What do they do in banks? And of course, out of just understanding the banking as it is, now I learned, no, I have a lot to lead when it comes to OSH in the banking. And that's how I joined. And I developed a lot of interest. And I said, no, I've been in construction industry for 13 years. Now let me go to the banking and make a difference in the banking. Yes.
And I know you have. Yes. We've seen it as your...
Thank you.
We love you and we've seen it. But I know my audience, especially the female audience, they want me to ask this, so I'm going to ask it. If I want to transition into the banking industry, say like for me right now, I'm in telecommunications and I would want to be in banking, push the OSH agenda in the banking industry. So what exactly should I go for in terms of skills, in terms of mentorship? What should I look into?
Imagine OSH principles. The way you run it in telecommunication is the same way you will find you run it in the banking industry. The only difference is the magnitude. Remember, in telecommunication, when you talk about telecommunication, you deal with the base transceivers. So you talk a lot about work at height. Now, when it comes to banking, work at height is very minimal. Actually, there's nowhere we use scaffolds like in the banking industry, unless in very rare occasions. Otherwise, that will not. Now, what you will do, when you understand it, you will just downgrade a little bit on what you know. But OSH is OSH. We talk about statutory compliance in telecommunication industry. It is still the same thing in banking. Workplace registration is the same in banking. Now, when you talk about fire safety, it is not a big thing for telecommunication, but of course it is an issue because of electrical safety. Yes. Now, in banking, it's such a big thing. Remember, we all use computers everywhere. We go to a premise, a banking premise, literally everything is connected to electricity. So electrical safety is a very big conversation in the bank. When it comes to fire safety, it's one of the greatest risks that we face in the banking industry. That is the same thing that you do in other organizations. So generally, the principles are the same. What you need to do is just, you just need to be this agile person that you want to know more. When you're handling money, money is very dirty. What is this dust that comes out of money? So it creates interest out of you. These people who are handling it, the moment sometimes when they handle it, they tap their faces, you see them breaking out. So you develop an interest. What is that is there? that is making them break out. And of course, you go and study more about that. And out of studying that, you will make a whole difference when you're dealing with people. Now, they're exposed to a lot of dust. Which dust masks are you giving out? Because what you give out in construction industry may be different from banking. So you see, it is literally we give out PPEs also, because there's also construction in the banking. We do partitions. When you're opening a branch, you're just given just an open space. So we are the ones who do partition. That's construction. So literally, they have to wear PPE, safety boots, helmets, reflective vests, even overalls.
Yeah.
When you go to the data centers, these are cold rooms. Yeah, so they need to dress properly. So whatever you know in OSH industry, you just fit it when you go to the banking. Yes.
So the message is that the skeleton of safety is the same.
Yes.
Yes.
Yes, it is.
And I know, Mary, let's talk about your experience. It's over 15 years. That's a lot. Some of us aspire to get to that level. One of the questions I would ask you is, how have you been able to manage those very stressful situations that obviously all OSH professionals encounter or face? But how do you handle those?
Wow. So number one, the issues are many. Actually, I think when I was in the large infrastructure project, I used to say, if you have no one to accuse, they accuse OSH people, because it's usually the weakest link within an organization in most of the places. So I have the 15 years, I think I keep saying I've seen it all. I've seen fatalities at workplace. I've seen serious incidences at workplace. And by the time you are doing the investigation and what you find, everyone is pointing their fingers to you and everyone is accusing you of things. But what do you tell yourself? I think that is one of the things that has kept me going, because I tell myself, in my heart, I have the interest of the people at heart. So accusations will always come there. Even hard times, even in your normal life, hard times are always there. How you get out of it is what matters so much. So I'm one person, I'm both extroverted and introverted. When I'm beaten so much out there, I pull back. I go and walk in Karura or the forest, and I go and rethink and just think, how should I handle this situation? When it is too much, that's why people are there. I call my peers. I call those ones who've been in the industry for so long, and ask them, what do I do? So it is good to ask for help. When it is too much, I've also gone for counseling and told my counselor, my therapist, things are too difficult for me. How do I navigate out of this? So it's just to learn that you're human. That's number one. You're human. And as a human being, you have the emotional side of you. But how you handle it is very important, because accusations will always be there. You just walk, someone falls down. OSH people did not do anything. Yeah, so it is always there. Yeah. So just learning to, who is your go-to person when the heat is too much. Now, when the heat is too much, learn not to die with your own issues alone. That's why we are in the industry. And I think that's why I'm very intentional in mentoring. I know there's an accident within your premise, and I know you, I'll call you and ask you, how is it? How are you taking it? If you have time, come. We sit down and I tell you, even me, I've walked that journey. You just help this person to walk out of it. So out of the many scenarios that I've seen, especially the worst case scenarios, have made me to be a very empathetic person, and that's why I'm usually more than willing to support the other people who are in OSH. Yes. Yeah.
I like that you've mentioned, always asking for help, because most of us don't. We feel like, what will they think? I'm an OSH professional, right? I've been hired to do this job. So me seeking out help, some people think it's a weakness. I don't know what your take is on that, because even for me, I struggle as an individual to ask for help sometimes. And professionally, I also struggle, because my thinking will be, the first thing you'll think is, why does she not know this? She's supposed to know this.
There's no one who knows everything. There are people who are very good in one area and you may be very good in another area. So you should not fear to ask for help. By the way, I have peers. I call them and I tell them, please come help me out. And I tell them, I'm struggling with this. Please tell me, how have you handled it in your own organization? I mean, there's the issue of like, let me just digress a little bit. The issue of contact center. I've approached people who I know they have large contact centers, and I've asked them, tell me, how have you handled the issues of contact center? It does not show that you're weak. No, it is good to ask. Actually, it is a serious strength for a human being, because I'm admitting, yes, I have a gap somewhere, but when I talk to you, you may lead me to a book, you may lead me to a website or wherever it is, and you help me come out of that. Otherwise, it is not a weakness. I learned it is not a weakness. Me, I ask. I have people that I ask, even on leadership. I enjoy leadership so much. I look for people who are out of even posh profession. I sit with them and I ask them, if I want to lead a team, how do I lead a team? And you learn. They tell you, me, I've led it this way. I have led my team this way. And you gain knowledge out of that. So it is not a weakness. Yeah, don't take it as a weakness.
I love that. I hope my female audience, because this episode was actually pushed for by the female audience, because they wanted to learn from Mary. How did she get to this point? What did she do to get to this point? And that also brings me, you mentioned leadership, and I want us to talk about that. At your level right now, you're getting into boardrooms. You're able to speak the boardroom language. So that's another question. How do we develop that skill to be able to get to the boardroom? Because right now we have the argument where OSH professionals are saying we're being denied. I mean, our voices are not being heard. But for me, I think it's because we're not in the boardroom. So Mary, the issue among OSH professionals has been getting into the boardroom, because once you're in the boardroom, then you're able to influence decisions surrounding OSH. So you're already at that point. So maybe just some tips on, if I want to get there, how do I do it?
So the first thing, if you want to achieve anything, not even going to the boardroom, if you want to achieve anything in life, you must be very intentional about it. Now, I'm always very intentional, and I'm among those people who do the vision board. I do a vision board, and I tell myself, I'm in this organization today. How long do I want to be in this organization? So let's say I'm 5 years. So I want to be in this organization for 5 years, but in 5 years or in 3 years, I want to be a director. I want to be in this position. So it's called career mapping. So literally, especially I tell the young people, the ones I've mentored, I normally draw it's a ladder. You are here. At how old are you when you are here? 30. 30 years, you are an OSH officer or HSE officer, as it's called in some companies. Now, as a HSE officer, you want to be a HSE officer for how many years? Maybe 5 years. I'll give myself maximum 3 to 5 years. I tell myself, what is the next level that is there? Senior HSE officer. So in the next 3 years, I want to be a senior HSE officer. What skill set do I need to be a senior HSE officer? You start working like that. You should always be at least 3 to 5 years ahead of the role that you want to be. Now, from a HSE officer, I want to be a manager. Maybe after 5 years, I want to be a manager. So it all depends on organizations, the names that they call them. For me to become a manager, what skill set do I need? Remember, a manager manages teams. So I have to know, if I'm given 10 people to manage, how will you manage that team? You see, so what skill set do you need to become a manager? Now, from a manager, where do you go to? Senior manager. It all depends on organization. You go up to director level. And of course, by the time you go to director level, you are managing big teams. What skill set do you need for that? So you have to be very honest with yourself and to do an introspection of yourself and be very bold. I mean, it's not wrong to ask for a position. You have to be very bold. Go for it. Go for it, because you're destined for greatness. Yeah? And you see, what you tell yourself is very important. So now you you ask yourself, for me to go to the boardroom, what do I require? Number one, you have to understand the business. You are an OSH professional, but you're in banking. Now, for you to sit at the board, people will be talking about money, profit and loss. People will be talking about credit facilities. People will be talking. Do you want to just go there and just find yourself? You have no idea of the financials. You have no idea on HR. You have no idea on supply chain. So you have to be very agile. You want to learn so that at least you don't look like you are lost wherever you are. So that with that, when you understand the business, how the business runs, now you can bring the agenda of OSH in. Now that you people are hiring in an organization, you are hiring 100 people within the same time. Where will they sit? What is the requirements, that the legal requirements for sitting arrangements? Where will they sit? Have you provided for them ergonomic seats or the right seats? So you can only bring that agenda when even you know this is how the business is performing. Now remember, sometimes we take in OSH agendas when the business is running at a loss. Will they listen to you? They will not listen to you. So really, you have to know the organization. If it is your own organ where you work, you have to learn the business. The business is the most important bit. Otherwise, OSH comes in as an additional, just to build up on business. So if you take like banking, remember customer is very important. Remember the staff are very important. Remember we have equipment there. Remember there are loans that are being given out. Learn the business. How do I support these loans now that they are being issued? How do I support the customers? Do you want your customers to come to your premises and then they fall? They fall because your tiles are worn out. So you look at business that way. And so you have to be I say the career journey or career mapping must be a very intentional journey. And it is you as a person. And especially for us ladies, I think we normally shy off from some positions. You'll sit down and say, hey, that organization is so big. Can I really head health and safety there? So you shy away from it. No, be bold. Go. Go. Present yourself. I mean, you must be a master of your craft. And that is very important. You must master your craft. You must be knowledgeable. So that when you're remember you sit with the directors in the board, they will ask you, why OSH? Why OSH? This is a waste of money. Are you in a position to defend that? When will we get our return on investment? You start asking yourself, not even what is ROI? So you literally have to learn and you have to be a master of your craft. Yes.
Yeah, thank you for that. I felt like you were speaking to me, and I'm grateful for that. But let's look at, because as we mentioned in the beginning, the role of banks mostly is to, keep businesses in business. They give you the loans, the money to sustain your business, right? So have you been able to get, if it's the loanees, or people who are requiring loans from banks, have you been able to get the OSH message to them?
Yes, I have been in a position, or we have been as an organization been in a position to reach out to the people we are granting loans to. Number one, remember, before a bank grants you a loan, they have to do due diligence for you. And part of the due diligence that they do, part of it is on health and safety. And of course, the bigger agenda of ESG, or environment and social governance. Now, you cannot do ESG without health and safety, because on the social arm of it, health and safety is very big, very big. So now you will find that most of the customers that you are selling the agenda or you want to give the loans to are not compliant. So we'll pick out the issues and give them a plan on implementation. We'll pick out like their bare minimums, workplace registrations you must have. Those are legal requirements. So there are some that you will have to implement them the moment you start construction. Now, we also monitor on that. And we manage to sit with the contractors or the owners of the premises, and we do awareness. It is part of our work that we do. Now, if it is organizations like hotels where we are going to hold our meetings, we do a due diligence for them, a health and safety due diligence for them. Now, if you find you have any gaps, we come in to support you. And part of the support that we give out is usually we ask you, please, can you give us, depending on the number of staff that you have, give us people that we can train on health and safety, and we train them as champions. Now, these champions, we hold them responsible. Are you training the rest? So by the time I'm coming to your premises, you have to show me the awareness schedule that you've conducted. Now, with that also, remember, they are the ones who know everything on statutory compliance, because what we have is a legal register on OSH. Now we go ticking. Have you done it? Where is it? Let's see the food. It's here. Have you placed it here? By the way, we go to the extent of even, sometimes you go to the kitchen and you find people have put in the kitchen a dry powder extinguisher. So we're in a position to tell them, really, this is food we are handling here. We don't need this here. What do we require? Now you do a fire safety awareness for them. And we have seen a lot of difference when we've done that. Yes.
Thank you for that. I'm as an individual, I'm very passionate about the informal sector. I feel like they're left behind when it comes to OSH. No one ever thinks about them. And I know your employer really works closely with the informal sector. And as you've said, you do due diligence. But does this also apply to the informal sector players?
Now, informal sectors, we only reach to informal sectors maybe when we have, normally the banks go to the people so that they can convince them to open bank accounts. So when they are running those campaigns, we normally ask for a few hours, like 2 hours, just to talk to people about your safety. Because remember, in the informal sector, your home is your workplace. It is your home. At the same time, it is your workplace. So the exposure is very high. But this one, we've not managed to get so much bandwidth. But yes, it is a thing that we are really do. We really want to achieve so much with it. Yes.
I think maybe we can work together with the EHS Unplugged podcast, because the whole idea behind this podcast is to create awareness about OSH, and in the process to reach those people who we consider they've been left behind for so long, the informal sector. This knowledge never gets to them. Our focus has been so much on the formal sector.
The formal sector. I would be glad to do that.
Yes,
I'd be glad to work together with you.
I thank you very much for that. So, Mary, you've mentored so many women in the industry, and I think some men in between. But how has it been, the mentoring journey? How many women have you mentored? How has it been? I mean, is there a selection process? Do you select and say, okay, this woman, I can mentor this person, this one, not really in my area? Is that how it works?
So, yes, it's true. I have mentored many. I'm usually very intentional. Even when I'm writing my vision, like when I write down the vision for 2024, this year I've told myself I want to mentor 5. So I do not select whether it is a lady or a man. Now, I see a lot of potential in you, whether you are a man or a lady. I will tell you, I want to mentor you. So some people approach me and they ask me to mentor them. And when you approach me, I'll tell you, I'll actually ask you, what do you want to achieve by the end of the day? And you tell me. And I ask you, 5 years' time, where do you want to be? So I know which direction we are going. So if you tell me in 5 years' time, I want to be a HSC manager, that is the direction we'll walk. And I'll give you a lot of homework even to do, and I'll ask you questions. Now, some people that I've mentored have been my team, the people who report to me. I see a lot of potential in you as Vivian. I tell you now, we will not joke anymore. We'll joke, and at the same time, we'll be very serious. I want to intentionally mentor you. Come, let's sit down. I'm seeing you have a very bright future, but I'm seeing like you are not seeing what I am seeing. Can we sit down? Come with a notebook, we come sit down and write down what you want to achieve. Now, apparently, when I'm mentoring people, even on OSH, I also ask them about their financial management because I don't want to mentor you. Then in the next 5 years, you've run bankrupt. I want to be sure that we are working as a whole person. So we ask each other hard questions. And by the way, ask you questions. And very personal sometimes. And I'll just ask for forgiveness much later. But it is usually a very intentional journey for me. There are those people even who struggle with themselves, self-awareness. And I'm feeling that the reason why you're not growing up the ladder is because you're self-doubting. You're doubting yourself so much. So you just need someone to hold your hand, someone who is courageous enough to hold your hand. And I'm in a position to tell you, Vivian, let's walk this journey. Be strong and courageous. I'm here. I'm cheering you on. So you'll come and tell me, by the way, I achieved this. And we celebrate together. We have coffee together over that. Yeah. So mine is usually a very intentional journey. And I learned one thing. When you take the lift up, please remember to drop it down for someone else. So that's why I have a lot of passion in mentoring. And then I find a lot of joy when I see someone thriving. I walk the journey with you. Then you come and tell me, by the way, I submitted the work and my boss was very happy. I think we celebrate. Yeah, we celebrate. Mary, I was a HSC officer. I applied for the manager's role and I got it. And by the way, I negotiated my salary to the figure that we agreed with you because I'll ask you, what salary do you want to be paid? Or you want to go and ask for a manager's position and you're going to ask for 50,000. I'll tell you are a joker. So can managers are paid this amount of money and not 50,000 shillings? So, and you see, for some people, you just need someone to just walk with you the journey and you will be courageous to walk the journey.
I like that part where you've, because it brings me to my next question. How have you been able to remain relevant in this industry? Because things change so fast in the OSH profession, but for you, you've been the same level and now you're going higher and higher. How have you been able to maintain that relevance, to remain influential?
To remain influential, okay. Number one, the profession is a very dynamic profession. So I'm a very dynamic person, by the way. You change, I change. So currently, the story of ESG is such a big thing in the industry. The story of sustainability is such a big thing. So I will sit down with myself and tell myself, every week I have to learn something on environment and social governance. If it is in banking industry, I will decide it is in banking industry. I want to see what are the ESG measures that we are going to put in place. What is Central Bank of Kenya? What requirement has Central Bank of Kenya given the banks to report on when it comes to ESG? So I am very intentional in the journey. I want to learn. And then now, remember, there's managing and there's leadership. Now, me, I told myself I want to be a leader. Now, a manager will know that you need to lead people up to a certain point. Now, for a leader, you ask yourself, is my ladder leaning on the right wall? When I feel this is the wrong wall, I change. And I just tell myself, no, how do I change? I feel I am lost here, but I would want to develop something. How do I manage my team? Or how do I lead my team, not manage my team? Now, I will look for someone who I've seen has grown in leadership and I go and sit with them. I ask. Remember? I ask. Yeah? I ask them, how have you done it? This is one of the things that made me actually thrive in HSC, or has made me thrive in HSC, is learning how to lead people in their love language. Have you ever thought about it?
No.
How do you lead people in your love language? You lead people in their love language, words of affirmation. Vivian loves, when she brings her report to me, I read it and I say, Vivian, you've done a very good job. That will make a difference to Vivian. By the way, I do the tests for my team members. We'll go out somewhere, have lunch. Then I tell each one of them, please get your phones. And then we do the test. I want to know your love language. If it is words of affirmation, that's how we will lead you. If it is gifting, When I come from the other countries, when I go to Uganda, I go to Tanzania, and where I'll come with candies and chocolates. I'll come and distribute in the office. And for you, because your love language is gifting, I'll come with a bigger gift for you. Or more candies. When I'm giving other people 2, I'll give you 1. I'll give you 5. And tell you by then, I really appreciate the work that you are doing. And that's how we live. If it is quality time, I will come. Especially when I was at the construction site, I would come to your site because we were having different construction sites and each of them has HSE officer. I know yours is quality time. I will come at least per week. I will come and I know I'm coming to spend 3 hours with you. Please tell me what problems you're facing at the construction site. What support do you need from your manager? And that is exactly what I will do. You tell me now the contractor is frustrating me on A, contractor is frustrating me on B and C. Now I know how to support you on that. And we grow together. So you don't leave anyone back, but you all grow together. So what it taught me is to be a very empathetic leader. Because me, I don't call myself a manager, I call myself a leader. Because I'm leading teams. And then you empower your teams. That when I give you this job, I know you will do it to completion. Why? Because I will train first and then I know you can run the race. So whatever you start, you always, that is my mantra, you always take it to completion. So by the time you're bringing it to me, I know you have gone through it, you've researched on it, because I have given you the time, I have given you the space. Wherever you are struggling, just come. I know this one, the words of affirmation are the right thing. This one you didn't do well, but you can do it different. Yes, can we do it differently? Or we do it differently. And you will find your teams will perform very well. They will perform very well. They will thrive. Now, there are those people who love, there's this love language that is called, physical touch.
Oh, yes.
Now, of course, physical touch in love, the other areas, it's okay.
Yeah.
Now, at workplace, how do you lead your teams with the physical touch? Now, if you're meeting on Monday, if your weekly meeting is on Monday with your teams, now, don't go for a meeting and then you greet people, hey, by the way, good morning, everyone. Good morning. And that time you've come with a printed agenda. Me, I don't go with printed agendas anywhere. So it is, we come. Vivian, how was your weekend? You start telling me, no, the contractor did. No, I didn't ask you about the contractor. I asked you about you yourself. Tell me, how are you? Because I don't know if you're sick. I don't know if the whole weekend you've been struggling with a flu. I don't know if your parent, maybe your child was sick, was in hospital throughout the weekend. Then I'm very busy asking you on Monday about performance. And your site did not do A, B, C. So literally, what am I doing to you? I'm frustrating you at work. Will you be in a position to perform? You will not. Actually, you start feeling this is a very bad boss. A very bad boss. So I learned, for me to perform, we have to sit down and at least once a month we go out with my team members or the people, my direct reportees. We go have lunch together. If you want fish, we'll go and have fish and we'll go together. If you want us to go to any other restaurant, we go and have 1 or 2 drinks. Many people tell me how you've been struggling with work. Oh, Mary, you've been giving us a lot of work here. You're making us to go to how many branches in 1 month. Then they open up and then you feel, by the way, I've been giving you a lot of work here. Let's tone down a little bit. But by the end of the day, you ask them, by the way, do you know the direction of the business? It is this direction. So all of us, even me as I'm running around in all the other countries, I'm actually feeling fatigued. But by the end of the day, we're in a position to sit down and say, Vivian, you are in a position to come and tell me, maybe I am feeling fatigued. I'm not in a position to work. I tell you to rest. So you lead them in their love language. Just like that.
And that reminds me, I was reading an article today and someone was saying, how do I tell my immediate boss that I need time off? because most of us have the tendency of either you find yourself lying, saying, I have a family emergency, or there's a planned medical checkup for today. How do you handle those situations?
It all depends on how your boss is interacting with you. Now, and I think that is how I learned to lead people in their love language. So they are open. By the way, my people can come and tell me, by the way, we are going for an interview. I go, oh, wow. Let me see, what is the requirement? And I look at it and I tell them, you'll be asked this question, this and that. If I was sitting in that interview, I would ask A, B, C, D. Why don't you want your team to grow? I mean, who said I'm the only leader here? I'm not the only leader who can lead. And I would be very happy. Remember, we have a short time span. So allow others also to grow so that it's continuity. Yeah, so when the lift takes you up, remember to take it down so that the others can go with you.
Yeah, Mary, I know it's very challenging in the boardroom. I mean, it's good that you're in there now because now we can look up to you and learn from you. But I know it's challenging, especially being a woman. And maybe just talk to us about that. How has it been being in those spaces?
So in the spaces, of course, you will find in very many boardrooms the ratio of men to women is usually the other way around. The men are more than the women at the boardroom. But I think the many years I worked in the construction industry, I found myself in several boardrooms. I found myself the only lady. The rest are men. So if it is a meeting that you've called for 20 people, I'm the only lady against 19 men. Now, you cannot cry because you're in the industry. So what do? You should be a master of your craft. So go there knowing what you're going to do. If they're asking about OSH, you master your craft. That when we sit together, we're in a position to have a conversation, a very mature conversation, because boardrooms are for serious people. So we are in a position when we talk about the greatest risk that we face here is fire. They'll know it is fire. Actually, it is fire. So by the end of the day, when people realize you are competent in your area or you're master of your craft, they will respect you and you respect one another. So I have not found it very challenging. Me, I think I've navigated it very well. When I was alone in the boardroom, I would make sure, you see, when you are alone, actually, they give you a chance to speak so easily. Tell us about OSH. There was a lot of dust at the construction site. Why did it happen? And I'm like, that's why we have the construction manager, because he needs to give out tracts for the water here. So you just need to speak yourself out, not being emotional. I keep saying you must learn to lead yourself first before you lead the others. The moment you master how to lead yourself, you'll be in a position to lead the others and do not feel like you're intimidated. I'm never intimidated, by the way. I come, we face each other, and I keep reminding myself that I'm qualified. I am qualified. I applied for this job, and I passed the interview. I didn't have a godfather or anything. It is out of merit. So yeah. So we meet on competency level.
Yes. Yeah.
Just like that, yeah.
Yeah. So thank you for that. Please master your craft.
Yes.
That is our message today. But Mary, let's talk about the culture or more of. Do you think people are more receptive to the OSH message now than say 5 years ago in the banking sector?
The banking sector.
Yeah.
Yes. So about building a culture. Remember, a culture is not built in one day. A culture is built over time. How do you do it? When I joined the banking sector, so the first thing that I did was orientation. So I went to the head office. I asked someone to take me around the head office so that I see how do we do business here. Remember, for you to succeed in OSH or health and safety, it has to start from the top. How can you go and sell it to the top? and going to sell it at the top so that now you can get a lot of buy-in, and now it trickles down. And so now you have to give a maturity ladder out of that. So when it reaches the top, it is so easy now to trickle down to the bottom. But remember, you also started at the bottom by doing a lot of awareness. So by the time it is coming from the top, it is not totally new to them. And of course, that is how you go growing the culture. And then now from the board, who supports you when it comes to health and safety? The finance director. You're in a position to go to the finance director and tell the finance director, I would want to, we are facing this risk. I would want you to go and speak about it in the board. We are facing the issues of ergonomics. When we do medical examination, we have this number that has this problem. Go to the director of operations. Tell him, I would want you to speak into it at the board level, so that now they realize, the HR director. Tell him, remember the HR is the owner of the staff. So you learn to sip through everyone, that when people talk about OSH, they know they can mention you anywhere. And now with that, you're in a position to grow the culture, to inculcate the culture within the organization. But it really has to be an intentional journey, because you have to talk to people. You have to get a lot of buy-in from the people. And of course, you also have to get a lot of buy-in from the management. Yes. So you asked me the question if whether I got the support or the buy-in. A lot, yeah. I've gotten a lot of support out of it. I have had people say, no, we will not go and hold a conference unless Mary and her team, they go to that premise and check if it is safe for us. And they give it as a condition. And we go there, we do our inspection, we come and report, guys, this is not safe for you people. These are the photos. This is why it is not safe for you people. And they're in a position to say, no, we will not go to that side based on OSH issues that have been raised. So that's a win for us. Yeah, it is.
Wow. Okay, so Mary, just one last thing is, for me, I would want to know how you've been able to balance the work itself and your home life. I know it's a very busy work schedule. So how do you balance it all?
Wow, I'm not very sure I balance, but yeah, I think I try to balance. So yeah, I'm a mother. So, and of course I travel several times, both within the country and outside the country. But I learned one thing, that I cannot be everywhere at the same time. At the same time, I also learned I cannot do everything at the same time. So at home, of course, I have a house manager. So me, I employ you. I normally give you run the house. You run the house. You only tell me how much you need to run the house. And that is exactly what I do, because I realize if I will leave home, if I leave work and at the same time I go and shop at the supermarket, those long queues in the supermarket, I realize I get worked up, and then I can leave things there. So, so I learned to empower those people who are around me. Now, I have a son, so sometimes when I travel out of the country, I call my sisters or my brothers. I tell them, guys, I am traveling. I need help. I know my house manager is capable, but it's good when my family members are in a position to come and support me. So I still ask for help. Are you seeing? We still have to ask for help. It does not mean you're weak. Because even me, I've helped others. When my sisters and brothers are not available, I've taken the responsibility to go and support them. So I still ask for help from them. Now, the other thing that I do, when I feel I have burnout, I pull back and I decide today is Sunday. I will not read anything. Today is Sunday and Saturday and Sunday. I'll not read anything. I'll not do much. I will just sit and watch a documentary. And I will be changing documentaries after documentaries after documentaries. So by the time Monday comes, I am very sober. I'm also, I love nature and I love walking so much. So when it is too much, when the pressure is too much, by the way, I'll even go to my boss and tell my boss, me, I'm feeling the threshold. I've reached my threshold. Please allow me to go and just walk 10 kilometers in Karura. And I'll just go to Karura. Graciously, I have a very good boss, so he'll allow me to go to Karura and come back home. And tomorrow, if you want me to have a meeting with you at 7, more than glad to do it at 7, even at 6. I'm more than glad to do it. But I've just learned when I feel that it's the threshold, I pull back and I tell myself I'm human. Let me just tone down. If I get sick, even when I'm outside the country, I'll just call our office and I tell them, guys, me, I'm sick. I'm not feeling well. I want to get into the next flight to Nairobi. I come back to Nairobi. Yeah. So I try. So I ask for help here and there. I also do homework sometimes, and sometimes I'm shown homework and I'm dozing off. I'm wondering now, this one, even the math is not mathing, but we still do the homework. So we still do the homework. Yeah, we still go out for lunch and dinners with my boy when we have time, but mostly on Saturdays and on Sundays. I'm also a book club member, so I attend book clubs. I'm a heavy reader by the way of books. You'll always, even now, I still have 2 somewhere that I am reading. So I joined the books club just to network with people and even to remain sane and to know what are people doing around. So yeah, like tomorrow I have a session, I think, with Dr. Martin Odor for just understand beyond the shadows of his dreams. Yeah, just that. So I do other interactions. I don't do just work only, even others. If you are my friend, I intentionally, when I come, especially from outside the country, I'll sit down with myself and I tell myself I want to go. I land in Kenya on Friday. On Saturday, I'll go home to see my dad and mom. So I'm very intentional. Then I've stayed without seeing my sisters. I'll look for them one by one. Let's meet for coffee. Let's meet for tea. Just being intentional. My friends, I'll look for them. So sometimes you'll find me asking them, where are you? I just want to come where you are. So I'll just come where you are and just unwind with them. Yeah, just to remain sober as much as possible. Yeah.
Wow. I feel like I'm a changed person. When I came in, there was that version of Vivian, but the one that's going out after this is a completely changed person, and that is all courtesy of my guest. When you guys hear about Mary Mwangi, you always hear she's inspirational, she's done a lot for the OSH industry, but I think she's that and more. So people say, when I was coming in here, I was told Mary is going to have a positive impact on you. And they're right, but they're righter. That's what I want to say, because it's true. Being in the same room with you are changed. It's not the person who walked in is not the same person who walks out of that room. That is my point. So I'm gonna give it back to Mary for a parting shot to the audience. Anything that you want to share? Karibu sana.
Thank you, and it was such a great honor to be seated here with you and just having a good chat. So what I would like to tell the audience is it's good to be very intentional in life. I think the word that is usually very common in my mouth is be very intentional. What do you want to achieve? By the end of the day, remember, you conceive things in your mind and then out practically. So conceive, look at yourself as a champion. And remember, especially the ladies, you are a champion. You are born to be a very bold person. You are destined for greatness. Greatness was not meant for other people. It is also meant for you. And remember that champions are beaten so much. So to be beaten, you'll be beaten. What you need to learn in life is how do you overcome or how do you navigate yourself out of the environment where you are. And being beaten does not mean that you will not achieve to the greatness that you want to go. So keep moving, keep going, keep running. The race, you are still in the race. Whether you are beaten or not beaten, keep going. I keep saying you keep soaring because the sky is the starting point. So you thrive and thrive. Be very intentional in thriving in this profession and even thriving as a person. Be very bold, be very courageous, take care of yourselves, and you are destined for greatness. Thank you very much.